So I'm in my greenhouse today, and today is tomato planting day. I have way more starts than I need. I'm just learning again, and I started way too many tomatoes. I've already given so many away when they were little 4-inch plants, and these I've been nurturing through to the time to go in the ground. So what I'm doing is sorting them by type. I've got Ruby Dawn over here, which were some seeds I ordered from Territorial Seeds. And then I've got some tomatillos that are left over from the seeds I started. I have some cherry tomatoes left over from the seeds I started from last year. And I have some yellow tomatoes. So I'm gonna pull out the plants that I want, and then my daughter wants a few, her friend wants a few, and then I might just gift the others on Facebook Marketplace, and maybe I can trade for some perennials. So I went through and I trimmed off a lot of the lower leaves that didn't look good on the plants, and then I'll be ready to put them in the ground. I decided these little stragglers, since I have so many, they just aren't doing well. They're not getting planted this year. A funny little fact, these guys are the same age as this one. So when I potted them up from 4-inch pots, I decided to put this guy in a grow bag and just leave it in the greenhouse to see what would happen. This is a cherry tomato, and it's much larger than all the rest. I'm also going to put a couple other varieties in the greenhouse for the summer, just to do an experiment to see how they grow. So the next thing will be, I'm going to put them in my tomato barrels out there, and I'll show you how I plant them. So I've picked all the places where my tomatoes are going to go. I put the 2 cherries down here because they do really well, and that gets a little bit more shade, so I figured they're pretty strong growers. I'm not too worried, and they produce really well. The yellow one I'm putting here. My red tomato that I started from seed last year's tomatoes, is going here. And then the Ruby Dawns, which are the purchase seeds, are both going right here. And since, I had extra space, I decided, and I have grow bags and dirt, I'm gonna put 2 more tomatoes right here, a yellow one and another Ruby Dawn, along with a few that I've saved to experiment on in the greenhouse. So I'm going to start planting these, and I'm going to do like the tomatillos. I'm going to dig a hole as deep as I can down to the bottom of the grow bag or the barrel, and I'm going to bury most of these tomato plants up fairly high. I might even go get my clippers and trim off a few more of the bottom leaves on these guys as I'm planting them. When you do that, the roots will start to grow from the stem, and you'll have a much stronger tomato plant than if you just plant them at the surface level in the ground. So it gives them a better start and a bigger root system. So these tomatoes aren't terribly root bound, but they're definitely ready to go in the ground and get out of these littler pots. And that's probably why they're getting a little yellow in the greenhouse. They need more nutrients. And so getting them into some more soil and starting to give them some fertilizers and things is really going to help them. Okay, my silly dogs are over there playing, so that's what you hear in the background. But silly me, I forgot we have chickens, and so all winter I've been saving the eggshells, and I baked them in the oven, and that kind of helps kill any, I don't know, grossness that's on it, makes them more brittle to break up. And I read something that if you put them in the bottom of your tomato plant holes, they feed some calcium to the tomatoes. So I was going to experiment with that this year, and now it's a true experiment because these 3 will not have the eggshells because I forgot that I was going to do it, but the rest of my tomatoes will. So I have this bag, this little Ziploc bag of eggshells, and I'm going to sprinkle them in the hole before I plant my next tomato. We'll just see. I don't know. They're also good for slugs, so I've been saving them for that reason too, to spread around in the garden. I'll probably do that later today or tomorrow. I have a lot of ground eggshells too for some calcium release, but I'm going to see if they'll help keep the slugs away from some of my more delicate plants. Okay, back to planting. Okay, they're all planted and they're tied to their stakes. This is the first year I've ever used stakes for my tomatoes to grow up versus cages, and I think I'm going to have more success with the tall wood stakes, and I'll just keep tying them to it as they grow. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to water them in, give them a little fresh water, and I think I might, for fun, sprinkle some basil seeds in these pots just to see what happens.